Alright, let's do the 13-3 work together on page 390 together. I'm doing this a little different this time in that I am not going to do it in MindTap so that I don't have to enter all the information, but you can still pause this video and enter what you need to in MindTap so that you get it and can check what you need to. So it wants us to compute for this company in the textbook. Bonita Bay Supplies, lots of efficiency and market ratios. It says to round percentage of calculations to 0.1% and dollar amounts to the penny, and the price earnings ratio to the nearest tenth. So it tells us that in the directions. And then it wants us to compute all of them, compare each measure to a target range, to identify whether each is favorable trend and a favorable result, and then it wants us to evaluate the day's sales and accounts receivable thirdly. So let's do the calculations first, and then we'll go up and do the versus target, and then we'll evaluate day's sales last. So here's the AR turnover ratio. And again, they give you all the data up here in the top from the financial statements, current year and prior year. So we're literally going and taking beginning AR, ending AR, and plugging things in. So there is the calculation for average book value of AR, and pause if you need to. And then you take net sales divided by that average AR to get the turnover ratios. Then we do days sales by taking 365 divided by 8.6 to get 42 days and 41 days. And then there's your inventory turnover ratio. Again, taking the average by going on the first day and the last day divided by 2. Take cost of merchandise sold from the income statement divided by the average to get the turnover. And then we take 365 days divided by that turnover ratio to get 50 days. Earnings per share, we take net income from the income statement minus preferred dividends from the statement of stockholders' equity divided by the number of shares of common stock outstanding. Does not include treasury shares, to get earnings per share of $4.50 and $3.88. Then I'm going to use that number when I do the price earnings ratio. Take the market price of $39.50 and divide that by $4.50 to get 8.8 is the price earnings ratio. So they're paying 8.8 times. And then dividend yield, take common dividends divided by common shares outstanding to get the per share amount. Take the per share amount of $1.20 divided by the market price to get the yield percentage of 3%. Do the exact same thing for preferred stock. Okay, so that is the first step, actually making all the calculations. And then we would take all these answers and we'll put them up here in the chart. So here's all the actual ratios for current year versus prior year. So again, the trend, we're saying from prior year to current year, whether it's good or bad. And then the result we're saying versus the target is the current year, good or bad. So let's go by ratio. The accounts receivable turnover ratio went from 8.8 to 8.6. That's not good. It's also currently at 8.6, which is not in the range, so the result is not good. The number of days, despite the fact they're increasing, that's not good. That's telling me it takes longer to collect, so that is not a favorable trend. We're at 42, which is also not in the range, so not good. So not good on the speed of collection for accounts receivable for this company. Then the inventory turnover ratio went from 7.5 to 7.3 times. And it's in the range, so that's good. And just so you know, I would not really consider that a favorable trend when it's going down, that I only was able to sell my inventory 7.3 times instead of 7.5, but they have yes, and that's what you should use. And then days sales and inventory, I'm on the same boat, that to me ought to be no, not a favorable trend because it's going up, meaning it's taking more days. But they put yes, so go with that. And then favorable result, yes, because we're at 50 days and that's in the range that we wanted. So that's all of your efficiency, those first four efficiency calculations and ratios. Then for the market ratios, the earnings per share, we had $3.88 per share and it went to $4.50. That's a huge jump. That's a very favorable trend. Our range that we wanted, we're within that as well because we're at $4.50, so that's a favorable result. PE ratio, because we don't have any competitor or companies and industry data, we just don't have anything there. And then common dividend yield, our actuals went from 2.8 up to 3%. So again, the key says that's not a favorable trend. To me, that is a favorable trend. It's both a positive number and it's increasing. Result is for sure good, 3%, 2 to 3. Favorable result, yes. And then the preferred dividend yield went from 3 to 3. That's a favorable trend. It's in our range, so it's a favorable result. So that takes care of the second step. And then the final step we had to do was for the current year, the company's taking an average of 42 days to collect its accounts. Since the credit terms are net 30, this indicates some difficulty in collection, so it's beyond our 30 days they should be paying. In addition, the days sales and accounts receivable increased from 41 days in the prior period, which is an unfavorable trend. So that takes care of the third step of this. That's it for Work Together.